Hey everyone, I'm back as promised, and today I have something pretty great. So I have successfully transitioned this build. As you can see, I am just covered in all kinds of charges. The build works pretty well, and it is really satisfying to play. The whole screen just blows up. So before I explain anything, I'm just going to go ahead and run a map. So I have a strand here that I'll go ahead and do. Now this is going to be a little awkward because I am actually not directly looking at my monitor. I'm looking at my OBS client that's recording my monitor, so this is going to be interesting. I don't have enough USB ports to fit my mouse, headset, camera, and keyboard on this laptop, so one's got to go, so I unplugged the keyboard. Anyways, let's do this.
Single round challenger return.
Ooh, the lag. Yeah, it performs pretty incredibly with ultimatums because it just literally wipes the entire circle. Let's just keep going. We'll take this as far as we can, of course. Pretty bad rewards here. Oh. Oh, the lag. I think I actually need to do that map, so that's actually not bad. That's done. Anyways, I'll maybe loot this after the video.
Of immense power. Far of alchemy.
Alright, so that's it. So that was a tier 12 strand. And yeah, it plays really well, really satisfying. Just those huge screen wide explosions. It's pretty incredible. I really like this build. I'm sitting at 5.2k life, which isn't too bad. Obviously, there's a lot of money that I invested into this build, but it's actually still like in its, as I like to say, in its infancy. I'm missing a lot of key things to this build, but I'll go ahead and explain how this build works for anyone that hasn't seen this kind of thing before. I came across one of these builds on PoE Ninja, and it really intrigued me, and I was like, man, I gotta try this. It's been a while since I played Discharge. So that was my plan for this league, and basically the way the build works is utilizes three main functions. Of course, the first one, the whole reason why we're Slayer, and we take this really weird route on the skill tree, is because we have to be Slayer for Masterful Form. So endurance is equal to frenzy. That's step number one. Whoops. And then the next thing is we use a Badge of the Brotherhood. So max frenzy is equal to max power. So pretty much now our endurance is equal to our frenzy is equal to our power. And the point of the replica Feral Spur is this is how we generate all our endurance and all our frenzy charges. If you saw while I was doing that ultimatum, I didn't like discharge right away. That's because I was waiting for the frenzy and endurance charges to come back. So with this build, it's not one of those like cast on crit discharges. You can't just spam it all the time. The discharge does have a bit of a downtime to it, which is about roughly 2 seconds. And but it's fine. It doesn't really hinder the build in any way. So this is a manually casted discharge. We're not using any kind of pseudo trigger like cast on crit or cast while channeling or spell slingers. We're not using any of that stuff. So it's literally a manually casted discharge. So the point of the Feral Spur is you need it to get your endurance and frenzy charges. Now, what happens now is the whole function of this build is since all our charges are tied up together, all the character is doing here is we're just stacking power charges. So however many power charges we get, that's how many endurance and frenzy charges we have too. So obviously that's the reason for the 2 void batteries. That's 2 power charges there. What I haven't gotten to yet, the next step is going to be to get 2 synthesized implicit power charge rings. Unfortunately, they are quite expensive, as seems to be a common theme of this build. The rings are about 20 to 25 exalts each right now. As of this video, it's now Wednesday, the week after the League launch, so pretty expensive. And I think I will eventually actually Warlord Exalt this helm so I can get +1 power charge on the helm as well. So I'm still actually missing 3 charges, but since that also equates to my frenzy and endurance, I'm actually missing 9. So right now I'm discharging for 24 charges, but with the missing pieces, I'll actually be discharging for 33 charges, which is just insane. So haven't gotten there yet, but that's kind of the next step. And even though I already have a lot of exalts into this build, I did get pretty lucky. I linked my Feral Spur last night. This seems to always be the case. I just get super lucky links. I had about 150 chaos. I was about to start buying fusings, and I had about 40 jewelers in my stash, and I just went to Orioth and bought some fusings, and I linked it in like 9 fusings. So that was incredibly lucky. I think in total I linked it in under 200 of all the sessions that I did, of all the random fuses. I only 200, so super lucky. But so that's the way the build works. So that's why we have to take this weird tree with Slayer. We need window of opportunity. That way, basically that is for Cat's aspect of the Cat. We don't want the buffs to last long. We want them to kind of flip-flop. It's also kind of really similar to the function of that that tornado build where you have to flip-flop the buffs so you get more tornadoes. It's kind of similar to that, so we need less skill effect duration there. Otherwise, the rest of the gear is pretty basic. Just a standard Stygian, some standard rings for now. And we use Inya's Epiphany. These boots help with getting the power charges. So the way I'm getting my power charges is just with the Storm Brand, power charge on crit, increased crit, and Arcane Surge just for extra damage. So we use that to get our power charges. So I just have to occasionally cast a Storm Brand or 2. And the nice thing about these boots is that last line, 25% chance. Gain power charges, you instead gain your max power charges. So that's going to be especially nice once I get up to 11 power charges. There's no way that I'm individually getting each one of those. So that's the purpose of these boots here. They still have life, and they have % increased intelligence, which is actually pretty nice because this build does need intelligence for the void batteries. So that's quite good. And I think that's all there really is to it. This build is pretty amazing so far. I Really enjoy it. The auras I'm using are here: Precision, Clarity, Skitterbots, Zealotry, and Aspect of the Cat. Of course, Aspect of the Cat doesn't reserve anything because we have the Ferals. And that's about it. Again, the Aspect of the Cat, I put those on my gloves, so those are there. Still have a lot of work to do with jewels. Actually, the main damage from this build comes from jewels and cluster jewels, but mainly jewels. So you can see I have tons and tons of jewels. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 13. So right now, I just bought them all to have life and crit multi and maybe one other role that's kind of applicable to the build. But the perfect jewel, of course, is life with 3 multi-rolls. But unfortunately, those kind of jewels probably won't exist yet for a little while in this league. And if they do, it's going to be extremely rare because Harvest Crafting is gone now. And those jewels are probably going to cost 20, 30x. But I eventually there's already plenty of life and double multi-jewels that I will look to upgrade. But unfortunately, they do cost around 2 to 2.5 exalts each. So I just don't have that kind of currency yet. So right now I'm just rocking 1 life with 1 multi-roll and then some other stat like crit or spell damage or area damage or something like that. So that is the build thus far. It's pretty nice. I've now leveled to 94. So I'm just going to continue exploding stuff, and yeah, it's a really fun build. I will put the path of building of this character in the description below. If you really want to get a good glimpse of a good version of this build, I suggest just going on PoE Ninja, then go to Ritual League, not Ultimatum, and just select Slayer and Discharge for the filters, and then you'll see a lot of these kind of characters that have the replica ferals, and they run this kind of setup, and it's really cool. So yeah, the Discharge Slayer is alive now, and it's working. I was actually really worried that I was going to brick the character and it wasn't going to work or something, but luckily I did make it work. This is the remnants of my my Cycloner, what's left of it. I pretty much sold off all the gems, and yeah, now it's just a tab in my stash. Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will make an update to this build at some point. Definitely going to keep playing this build now. This is going to be my endgame build until who knows. So, yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I will see you guys on the next update.